Bryan Houston here with Coach Marcus Gold from Whitehouse High School. The Wildcats getting ready to play this week against Royse City, again on the road. But a good opening win for the Wildcats last Friday night, 31-15 over Forney, on the road at Forney. Coach, thanks for being with us. First of all, tell us your impressions on how you think you did in opening night.
Well, I think the one thing that you worry about in an opening night and with playing with a lot of young players, when I say young, whether it's seniors that haven't, were in starters last year or playing with a lot of sophomores and juniors, is they just want to go out there and play. And what our focus was, hey, we want to go out there and compete. We want to go out there and win. And when you put in that much preparation and you come out, it's still a different deal for them. It's still a different game under those lights. But to come away with a win it's always good. It's always good success for you to keep you kind of motivated and going for that second game and letting your kids know and feel good about all the preparation that they put in before that game.
And the other thing, too, because you had to wait so long to play that first ball game, did you notice something different about your team because they had to wait longer than normal to start their football season?
I felt like the enthusiasm was a little bit more there. I think they were anxious, they were excited. I asked them before the game, "Hey, are you nervous?" And a couple they were like, "No, we're not nervous." I was like, "Yeah, you are. You're nervous." So I thought they came out and they started fast. They were anxious I told them at times like that, you really got to slow the game down for yourself. And how do you slow the game down? You slow it down between the snaps and get the call on the sideline and line up correctly and get your eyes right. And then when that ball hits, now you play fast. So I thought they did a good job. We talk about effort, attitude, and our attitude was really there and great all night long.
The interesting thing, too, Coach, is that you started so many sophomores, particularly on offense with your skill positions, but it was Forney that was making all the turnovers. You guys played a pretty clean ball game.
I thought so, and we talk about. I know Lev talks about that with the offense all the time. Is we talk about turnover and turnover ratios, and if we don't turn the ball over and we play great defense, you got a chance to be in any game. And I'm a defensive mindset, so I think, and even nowadays you see it where you may have a high profile offense that simply it could be raining, the ball just isn't sticking in their hands one night, or we're not getting a push up front like we need. And I think you can just always get more consistent play week to week basis out of your defense. I think you can out effort anybody with your special teams game, and that'll always keep you in ball games if you have an offensive team that understands the tempo of the game and holds on to the football and takes advantage of some sudden change situations. Now that's one thing I think in the future we have to do in district games, to where it's close games. You're talking about 2-point, 3-point games where those PATs matter down there, 2-point conversions matter down there. Every fumble, every opportunity that we get the ball inside their 10 matters. It was a good situation where our kids were put in more of a game-like situation that they haven't been put in a long time. So it was really good for our young kids.
Yeah, the observation that Ryan Peterson and I made on the broadcast Friday night, if there was anything that you could call a criticism or a negative or not ideal, was the fact that Forney turned the ball over 3 times in the first quarter, and you were only able to cash in on the one where they muffed the punt inside the 4, and you were able to take it in. So you left some points on the field that could have made this a much easier ball game even than it was, and it was a pretty decisive win without those.
Right. And even with that being said, I go back to talking about how our attitude was. So you create a turnover, the offense goes out on the field, and let's say we don't punch it in. The fact that our defense used that as a, hey, it doesn't matter. Let's just go give them another opportunity. Let's go make another stop. And that's what I tell them all the time. What makes a great defense isn't one that where they get the ball on the 20-yard line and you stop them down the field. It's, hey, let's go through some adverse situations. Let's have our back up against the wall when we turn the ball over in our own red zone, or hey, the offense has the ball down on the 1 and we don't score. What is your mindset and your attitude going on the field? That's just another opportunity for you to go out there and stop them. Your job isn't to go score. Your job is to give our offense the most opportunities as we can, and I thought they did that Friday night.
Of the things that you saw Friday night, what were the things that were concerning to you?
I think in any game you go back and look at film and you say, hey, it's never as good as it looks, or it's never as bad as it seems, and just tweaking our eyes and making sure our eyes are where they're supposed to be. And all we talk about on the defensive side of the ball, hey, eyes and feet will get you beat. On the flip side, on the offensive side of the ball, there's some plays in there that we could have executed. Hey, we ran this play once, then we ran it again the second play. Well, why did we make a different decision when they lined up in the same way? Don't do anything different. Let's attack this area that they're giving us right here. On a special team side, we went for 2 fake punts, and they both could have been converted. There it was wide open on the right side. The second time, we ran the play and we got a first down, and we had too many men off the ball. Well, all week for the last 8 weeks, every single one of y'all were on the ball. Why are you doing something different now? And again, it's young kids going out there under those lights and a little bit of nervousness, and it was a great learning experience for us.
Just real quickly, I want to mention some people. First of all, you got to talk about your quarterback. When you throw a sophomore out there for the first time and the Friday night lights, what do you think about the performance Joey Conflitti had? The numbers look pretty good, 28 of 35, 198 yards. He threw 4 touchdown passes. I mean, so that's pretty doggone good for a debut for a baby.
Yeah, I thought he made some great decisions, and you sitting there with him and Coach Lev after the game, and you go through the game with him. He's very knowledgeable at the game. He knows what he's doing. He knows why he makes certain decisions or why he should have done something differently. Um, but a lot of that credit has to go to our receivers. A lot of that credit has to go to our offensive line and giving him time. And a lot of credit has to go to Coach Lev and putting him in situations where he was kind of dinking and dunking early on, building that confidence before we started going to our P50 routes going down the field. Our offensive line did a great job. I don't know if we gave up any sacks in that game. And then you had, a couple of young receivers making catches and making him look good at times. So it was a great all around team effort as far as just the production of being consistent, drive in and drive out.
I'll tell you what, DeCarlton Wilson, he jumped off the page on Friday night, made some spectacular plays. He looks like he could be a real star for you for a long time.
Yeah, you watch him run, you're like, oh, he's not real fast. Or you watch him run around, he's like, oh, but he's a gamer. He makes plays, and that if that ball is in his area, he has some sticky fingers to be able to catch the ball, and he's everything that we thought he would be when he was here in 7th and 8th grade, and now he's a sophomore. He has an opportunity to play on Friday night. He has more confidence than anybody on our football team. And when I told those guys to raise their hand about who's nervous, he's one that's not. He has that confidence in him, and that's why not a lot of teams put their sophomore back on punt return either. And he goes back there and he picks up that ball and he runs for a little 20-yard scamper there. So we're excited to have him and see what he's going to be able to do over the next couple weeks.
Now, yeah, I know you give out weekly awards, and so you've got some players that I'm sure that stood out for you. If you want to go through that, please.
Sure. Braden Matthews, we talked about in the offseason being able to replace our linebackers, our 2 kids that went to college last year. One of them playing Division I ball now, and that was going to be the hardest position to replace for us. And Jack Clark and Braden Matthews did an unbelievable job at linebacker. I think Braden had 15 tackles, 4 tackles for a loss. He's a little guy. He's 5'7", 150 pounds. So it's difficult to block him, and he hits as hard as anybody out there. So I love just watching him play. He was our special team specialist last year. He didn't see a lot of time on the defensive side of the ball. So just seeing that his effort and his attitude has just paid off in the long run. He's such a great kid, and I was just super proud of him. And now I told him, hey, now we're not going to expect anything less than that. So we're going to have to see that type of effort and that type of production every single week. The Carlton Wilson, like you mentioned before, had some really good catches. I don't know last time we had a receiver come down with 14 catches in one game. So that's
years.
And I don't know if we've had any drops, but that was just great job for him. You had a Marshall Johnson, and he's everything we talked about. He was our biggest defensive captain as of right now. And He's tough to block down there, and he faced a lot of double teams all night, came up with a sack, got some good quarterback pressure for us, and helping our secondary out. And then our special teams player, I always tell those guys, you know, if you're a starter on special teams and you have a chance to play offense, defense, and part of the ball, and if you're a starter on offense and defense and you're on these special teams, you better give great effort. So Monty Burns was one that when you turn on that film, like, who was that guy 20 yards in front of everybody on kickoff and on punt, and he recovered that fumble down there at that 5-yard line where the kid jumped up to catch it. The ball knocks down. He pushes the kid out the way and gets on the ball, and he just put himself in a lot of really good positions to help us out on some of that special team stuff.
One last question about last week, and then we'll look forward to this coming ball game. But did you notice anything different about a game one situation in a COVID-19 environment? It looked like Forney had a pretty good crowd there, considering I guess they were supposed to be limited to 50%. It seemed like they had more than that there.
Well, I think everything's just weird right now, and it's just, like, is this our first game? Is this our? It's just I don't know. I guess you try to put yourself in the kids' perspective and like, what are they thinking? And to them, it's the first game, so we got to try to train ourselves to feel like it's first game. It's a little bit chillier than it normally is, and I've got to watch myself and thinking, and once we get to midseason and later, towards the end before playoff form, we're knocking our periods down to 15 to 18 to 21, and it's a different mindset right now because it's not a typical week 2. So I do got to start pulling off on them, some knowing how much we practice, and this has been a long time for them, and weight room things are different. So there's a lot of things that are different right now, and it's a day-to-day process, and it's a fun process. You got to enjoy the process no matter what, So it was definitely different. I couldn't tell you exactly how it was different. It just definitely felt different. But I'm glad our kids came out there and they weren't timid, and they you could tell they were having fun, and I think that's the most important thing.
Okay, looking ahead, Royse City put up over 50 on Frisco Centennial this past week and won it by about 20 points. So give me your impressions of them, what you see from what you've studied on huddle and tape and that kind of thing.
Yeah, when you pull up the scores, it's never a good feeling I don't care who they play. When you see 55 points, you're like, okay, we got our hands full in this one. So they are very high, fast tempo offense. Still, I think the idea is to try to stop them on those early downs. I think, think back to the Texas Tech Raider Day when they were running gun. The idea is to have a good first down stop, whether they run the ball, pass the ball, put them behind the change so they slow the game down and it's able to slow your defense down. If they get a big gain on first down, now they're rolling. They're going to snap the ball within 7 to 10 seconds. And they do that with really good athletes on the football field. They got a running back who has multiple offers. You got a receiver who's committed to Arkansas. Got a left tackle who's one of the best we've seen. So it's going to be important for our defense to get lined up to get on the sideline and be sound on the first down more so than they were last week. They seem like they bring back the same coordinator on defense. So they run a very sound scheme. They've lost some guys on that side of the ball. So in any game like this, like I said last week, and you'll probably hear me repeat this throughout the year, the game's going to be one up front. It's going to be one in the trenches, and our ability to run the football and dictate our own tempo and our ability to stop the run and put them behind the change is going to be crucial in this ball game.
Not going to try to depress you here, but I'm looking at the numbers. They had 659 yards of offense. Their quarterback was 19 of 22 for 292 yards, 4 touchdowns to 4 different players. And they also rushed the ball 292 yards, and you mentioned that. So you still, given that kind of balance and that kind of spreading the ball around to a lot of different people, you still thinking taking the runaway has got to be the key?
I think so. I think there's enough things that we do in the secondary that can get us a chance to get our hands on the ball, and we rely on the guys that we trust back in the back end. And yeah, that information is a little bit depressing, but I love it. I love the fact that we have a challenge like this early on in a non-district game. We're going to have the same challenge next week before we start district, and The young team we have, we want them to put them under those lights on an away game that's an hour and a half away at Royse City, who's a team that's gone multiple rounds in the playoffs. What better way to prepare your team before we start a very, very tough district this year.
What do you see from your offense and what their opportunities might be against Royse City's defense?
Well, I mean, I think like any day, we just got to take what they give us. Take what they give us. Whatever you see as a quarterback, making those right decisions, and then no matter what, we want to take care of the football just like we did last week. Don't give a fast tempo, a prolific offense like that multiple chances in their own red zone. Let's do a great job on special teams. If we have the opportunity to flip the field, or we've got to be able to do those things to help our defense out in a big game like this.
Key matchups as far as you're concerned.
I think it goes back to the offense and defensive line. And, I think that's going to be a key matchup with us this week. They're going to be much bigger than us. They're going to be, but I think we can do some things up front to put ourselves in good positions for our great linebacker play like we had last week to open up and make big open field tackles. That's what they want to do. You talk about how they've gotten, scored 4 different players. They want to get their athletes out there in the open field. So us running to the ball or rallying to the ball and taking some of those things away will be key for us.
All right, Coach. We wish you the best of luck against Royse City this Friday night, and good luck to you out there. Good luck to your kids on the road for the second straight week.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Marcus Gold, the Whitehouse head football coach. We're getting ready for the kickoff here in just a moment.